had always sort of wanted to be a foster parent. It was something that was always in the back of my mind from the time I was a teenager. And after a lot of thinking and a lot of talking, we finally decided to go to our first orientation class. We decided at the end of the process that we really wanted to work with Child Crisis Arizona to be matched with a child who was currently in shelter. When we met our foster son at the Child Crisis Shelter, he was very intimidated. He had been through so much. He was so traumatized, and he basically curled up in a ball in the corner of the room. We met with the Child Crisis staff who developed a plan to make sure that our foster son was completely comfortable and trusted us before he moved into our home. He had had an amazing experience at the shelter. He felt so safe there and had bonded with the staff. And we found out that he is a huge Batman fan.
Absolutely.
He loves Batman. So we got him a Batman doll, and that was the beginning of him trusting us to bring him out off-site. When it came time to move our foster son into our home from the shelter, we knew it was going to be a big day for him and possibly a very stressful day. And so we took his love of superheroes and made the day a big superhero party. And he stayed in that Batman costume for the first 2 days in our home. We went everywhere as Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman. And I think it really helped him transition into our house as Batman.
We've been so happy with the progress and where things are going and are so hopeful. We really look forward to when we can provide that permanent home for our foster child.
It would be such an honor and a privilege to be able to adopt our foster son and parent him for the rest of his life.
We had talked about growing our family through adoption, but we didn't know what that looked like, if it was going to be private or through foster. So after attending this seminar where we learned more about all of the children that are in foster care, we thought maybe that's the route that we should consider taking.
A big portion of that training was helping us prepare ourselves and our two birth children for that.
The boys were just very excited. They couldn't wait, and they immediately, upon meeting, they just ran up, hugged each other, and began playing like they knew each other from the very beginning. It was a lot of fun. He laughed and laughed, and at the end of that play date, they were sad, and they hugged him and said, we'll see you again soon, okay? We love you. If anything, Luke and Levi are more loving, more open. They understand that love has no limits. They understand that love is unconditional, and they show us that every day. So they've both really embraced being a big brother and caring for Nicholas like he was, their own brother. So it's pretty amazing. One of my favorite moments that I have of Nicholas, and when it felt like we were a family and we were complete, was we were sitting there watching a movie, and he was kind of looking around the room, and he says, "This is my home, and this is my mommy, and this is my daddy, and this is Levi and Luke, and I love my home." And we kind of looked at each other, and we thought, he gets it. It's his home, and he knows that. And every time we would pull into the driveway, "We're home, here's my home." And so everywhere we go that's familiar, "This is my school, this is my church, this is my home, this is my brother." And it can be a little repetitive, but that first time that he said it was just really melted my heart, and we looked at each other and we knew we were complete.
Before I came to Child Crisis Arizona, I had a pretty rough life. My parents were meth addicts, and they dabbled with actually cooking methamphetamine in the house that I resided in.
The one little boy, Dustin, was 3 years old, but came into the system at 18 months. And Evan, his older brother, was 4, almost 5, but he came into the system again at 2 years old.
It was love at first sight. It really was.
But I let them make the decision to come and stay with me. Even though I had already made the decision, I said, you can make a decision if you want to come and stay with me, but you two talk about it and you let your social worker know. And they, of course, wanted to come and stay with us.
I wanted to go home with them that very day, and I was very sad when I couldn't. So my mom, Marge, she drew on a piece of paper a calendar. And so she drew on the calendar the days and she labeled it and everything. And I still have that piece of paper.
My social worker had come to us because Dustin and Evan's mother had gotten pregnant again. And it ended up being that Amanda was born, she was born drug addicted, but a mom delivered and took off. Amanda was left as a Jane Doe baby at the hospital. So when they realized who she was, they came to us and said, would you consider keeping these 3 children together by adopting? It just was the right thing to do to keep these children together. And my boys were doing so much better in our home. I had to let him know, hey, it's time for you to be a child. But it took time and a lot of energy to get him to understand that he could be a child and that nothing was going to happen to his brother, that I was a safe person, this was a safe house.
There had been terrible, monstrous things that had happened to both him and I. I didn't want anything bad to ever happen to him again. He meant and still means everything to me. He's my other half. He is. I love him so much. My mom, she told me, Evan, you're safe now and nothing's going to happen. You can be a kid.
Whether my child is biological or adopted, I don't think anymore in that frame that, oh, this is biological, this is adopted. I love them. God doesn't make junk. These children are beautiful. And they have their challenges, but when you look at the traumas they've had, of course they're going to have hiccups in life. We all do. No one's perfect. I'm not a perfect parent. But we love each other. And they're not going anywhere. They're mine forever. They're forever my children, and I will do whatever it takes to help them along their journey.